Bon, il est 2h15, enfin, heure d'ici, puisque pour moi il est 3h15. Mon vol a été retardé de plus de 2 heures. Du coup, l'agence de location de voiture, elle est fermée. Il a fallu que je me prenne une chambre d'hôtel à Londres, en attendant que l'agence ouvre. Franchement, ça commence mal. J'espère que ce sera mieux demain quand même, mais j'en doute pas. Bon, bah quand ça veut pas, ça veut pas. Je viens de crever. Je me demande si je vais réussir à y aller. En plus, regarde-moi ça, je suis à 5 minutes du circuit là. Tu vois, hier à l'hôtel, je te disais que j'espérais que demain ça irait mieux. Et ben pour l'instant, ça part pas fort. Le kit de réparation, ça n'a pas suffi. Et là, je suis dans un garage, à 4 km du circuit, j'étais presque arrivé. Et on attend un pneu de rechange. Allez, enfin le pneu c'est bon, on va pouvoir repartir. Et je mets le GPS, le circuit est à 7 minutes. Motardement, bonjour. Il n'y a pas longtemps, j'ai vu Dreams the Impossible, un film qui vraiment m'a marqué. Je pense que tu as compris le concept déjà, mais je vais aller chercher quelqu'un qui va nous en parler un petit peu mieux. Attention. Alors, Talan, motardement, bonjour.
Motardement, salut.
Merci beaucoup de m'avoir invité ici.
My pleasure.
Alors, explique-nous qui tu es, ce qui t'est arrivé et comment tu as réussi à remonter sur une moto.
Okay. So, my name is Talan Biggins, and in 2003, I was knocked off my motorcycle and I was run over by the oncoming traffic. When I was run over, my back was broken at this level and paralyzed me from there down, so I have no feeling or movement below this level. For many years, I didn't think it was possible to ride the motorcycle, but eventually I took a gamble, I took a risk, I bought a motorcycle, I adapted it, I went to a disused airfield and tried to ride. It only lasted 5 minutes and then I fell off, but in those 5 minutes, changed everything. I knew that it was possible to ride. With practice and with perseverance and with determination, I managed to ride and I started to do track days. When I was doing the track days, I felt very happy and I got excited because I was actually overtaking other motorcyclists. And then I thought, I wonder if it's possible for someone who is paralyzed like me to race a motorcycle against able-bodied. And I practiced and I went on courses and I got instruction. And initially, the organization, the federation, they said, no, it is not possible. Nobody who is paralyzed is a racer, and nobody will be allowed to be a racer. But I'm quite stubborn, and when I get an idea in my head, I want to see it through. So I fought, and after 4 years, I finally got to race against able-bodied motorcycle racers, and that was in 2012. So it changed the course of motorsport and allowed more people who have a disability to become racers and to compete against able-bodied. So here in the UK, there is no such thing as really a disabled racer. You're either a racer or you're not. And we compete against able-bodied. For some of us, we have to start at the back of the grid. So if you cannot stop unaided, you have to start at the back because I'm held by 2 people. But if you're, say, a leg amputee and you can put one leg out and you can come to a stop, or if you're an arm amputee and you can come to a stop, then you can start wherever you qualify on the grid. And by doing that, we go out and we race. And today, myself and my teammate Andy, who is also paralyzed, we've been here at Brands Hatch. We've been racing against able-bodied people just out there on the circuit. For me, I'm racing the trusty R6 and Andy races the R1.
Une belle histoire, dis donc. Est-ce que tu es marié?
I'm not married, no.
Des enfants?
No children. I was married, but then I got divorced. It's a bit tricky sometimes when you race motorbikes. People get afraid for you, and then they want you to stop. And I haven't found anybody yet that sort of sticks with me when I get injured, and they want me to. They always say, maybe next year you stop racing, and I'll stop when I'm ready.
Et ta famille? Comment ils ont réagi quand ils ont su à propos de ton accident?
Initially, my mum and dad thought that I was dead. So my mum and dad, when they found out about the accident, they were in Val d'Isère. They were skiing. I was in England, and they had to drive home. During the drive home, my mum, she ran out of credit on her phone. So there was no phone call. So they thought I died, and no one was ringing them because they were worried about telling them the news. So when they came to England and the phone still wasn't working, they then realized that they'd run out of money. They put money on their phone, they charged it, and loads of messages came through saying that I was still alive. And so actually, they were very happy to see me. I mean, they said, you know, the worst thing was they thought I was dead. But actually, the fact I was still alive, so they were very happy. They were sad that I'd had the bad accident, but they knew that at least I was still there. And so for them, the shock was offset by the fact that they knew I was still alive, even though they thought I was dead.
C'est plutôt cool. Je veux dire que ça soit passé dans ce sens-là.
Yeah.
Est-ce que tu étais déjà pilote avant ton accident?
Before my accident, the only time I rode a motorcycle was to get to work. That was it. I used it purely to commute.
Ok, donc ni sur la piste, ni en course.
I'd never been on a racetrack, and I'd never been a racer. I had a little CBR 600 F.
C'est pas si petit que ça.
And I just used to use it to go backwards and forwards to work, and that was it. I didn't have any friends that were motorcyclists, so I didn't do ride-outs. I didn't do any of that. I simply got it because at the time I was living in London, and I was going in and out of London, and it was easier for me to travel using the motorcycle.
Et c'est avec celle-là que tu as eu ton accident?
Yes, so it's a 1999 Honda CBR 600F.
Ok, donc tu cours contre des pilotes valides, mais est-ce que tu es en position de te battre pour le championnat? Ou bien tu es plutôt dans le milieu de tableau?
Okay, so although I compete against able-bodied, there are times when I can actually get forward from the back of the grid. This is mainly when it's wet. So when it's raining and the track is wet, that suits my style of riding. I have to be very smooth with the riding because of my paralysis. I cannot stand on the pegs, I cannot pull the bike down. I can't be aggressive with the bike, so I have to be smooth everywhere, and that suits it for the wet weather. And so I have actually got from the back of the grid to the podium, but only when it's wet. And in fact, the last time it was wet, I went from 32nd place to 6th overall, and that meant I was 4th in my class, so again, nearly on the podium. In the dry, everybody feels brave and they pull the bike and they can go faster because I don't move on the bike, so the bike leans over and then I cannot stand it up, so I carry a lot of lean angle, and then I have to wait for the bike to start coming up before I can then get on the power. Someone who is able-bodied, they stand the bike up. They push the bike away from themselves, so they get a bigger contact patch with the tyre, so they can put the power down earlier than I can. So in the wet, I'm pretty good. In the dry, I'm okay. I still beat people. You know, I don't come last. I always get past, 4 or 5 people, even in the dry.
Est-ce qu'il y a un classement tout au long de la saison?
Yes, so for the MRO 600s, we have a championship league table, and I believe at the moment I'm sat in 9th place, and that's out of 40 racers.
Attends, tu veux dire que t'es 9e?
P9 out of 40, yeah.
C'est pas mal, hein?
Well, today I had 2 17th places, so I'm out of the points. So I won't be moving forward, so I probably drop down. By the end of this race weekend, I may have dropped a couple of places. I'll have to wait for it to rain.
Et peut-être qu'il va pleuvoir demain pour tes dernières courses. Allez, on est en Angleterre.
We're in England, probably.
Est-ce que tu te rappelles de ta première course? C'était à Snetterton, c'est ça?
Yes.
Alors, comment tu t'es senti à l'arrivée de ta toute première course?
When I completed the race at Snetterton, It was a very emotional time because it had been so difficult for me to get to race. And when I did it and I finished, all the marshals, they lined the track waving their flags as though I'd won the World Championships. It was amazing, and I just cried. I cried the entire way back. It was so emotional. I was just so happy that I'd been able to do it, that all of that hard work, all of the hassle, all of the letdowns, all of the setbacks, the determination that I had shown just to keep on going, it all worthwhile. And I also hoped that it changed everyone else's perception, and everybody else who had said it wasn't possible, it was going to change the way that they saw disabled racers, especially here in the UK. Hopefully it'll change the way they see it across the world, because there are still some countries which do not allow people who are in the same injury status as myself to compete against able-bodied. They have to compete in a separate race series.
Comme en France, par exemple.
In France, in Italy, and in Spain. Some not so disabled. One or two get allowed to race, but mainly they have to do a totally separate series.
Alors j'ai entendu, quelqu'un m'a dit que tu avais été champion du monde dans une catégorie handicapée.
Last year we had a World Championships. We had 3 races. It was at Le Mans at the MotoGP in France, which was amazing. That was brilliant. And I came second.
Un de mes rêves.
And to race at Le Mans was just, it was incredible. The passion the supporters have is amazing. And then Mugello, which is the most beautiful track, and got to go there. It's incredible. In the mountain, where we've got the hills all around it, and the elevation changes. The track is beautiful to ride. And then back to France to Magny-Cours with the World Superbikes, and I finished on the podium again there. And so I was second out of all 600s, and I was the first for paralysed riders. So yes, so the world champion for paralysed motorcycle races in 600cc.
Félicitations.
Thank you very much.
Mais je t'en prie. Alors, t'es pas tout seul dans cette équipe. Il y a aussi Andy,
Yes, there is.
qui est en powerbike, 1000. Est-ce que vous vous connaissiez avant Talan Racing? Comment vous vous êtes rencontrés?
I met Andy through the charity I run called the Bike Experience. So the Bike Experience teaches people who have a disability how to ride motorcycles. Andy met a friend of mine who told him he should come and see me. He came along to one of our events. I got him back onto a motorcycle, and then he was amazed at how good it was to ride on the tarmac, because he was a dirt bike rider, so he was motocross. And at the time I had a race team, and there were 4 of us on the team, so 2 paraplegics, myself and Steve, and 2 above knee leg amputees, so Will and Louis. And one by one they left, and so Andy came along and joined the team. So instead of it being 4, there's now just the 2 of us, and he's racing, like I said, the R1 in the power bikes, and I'm racing the R6 in the MRO 600s.
Alors, je les ai vus, Steve et Louis, dans le film Dreams Impossible.
Yes.
Qu'est-ce qu'ils sont devenus?
Louis, he took some time out in order to develop a special prosthetic leg for him to race. So he's above the knee amputee, and he has been working with a number of different companies to develop a special prosthetic that moves and allows him to control the bike. And then Steve had a bit of an accident. He broke his leg, and then his wife had a baby, so he's now being a dad.
Eh oui, papa, c'est un travail.
Dad is a full-time job for Steve. Yeah.
Alors, j'ai entendu que Brands Hatch, où on est là, c'est le plus gros week-end de l'année.
The Brands Hatch is generally for our club, Bemsey, it's the big one. It's the one that everybody wants to do well at. It's the only club that races the full GP circuit. No other clubs in England get to race the full circuit, only the BSB, the British Superbike Series. So we are the only club that does it. So we get lots of people from other clubs all wanting to come and race, because this is the one time that a club racer can do the full circuit, because it's magical. It's steeped in history, and actually the Indy circuit at Brands Hatch is very small, and it's over and done within just over 50 seconds. But the full circuit takes, a minute and 40, and it's just so much nicer out the back. It's flowing, it's fast, it's got some amazing corners, it's got elevation changes, and it's certainly the one that everybody wants to win.
C'est un peu comme le Castellet en fait.
Le Castellet
ou Le Mans en France.
Yeah.
Vraiment de très très beaux circuits où tout le monde rêve de rouler.
Yeah.
Mais le Castellet, par exemple, si tu vas là-bas pour une journée piste, tu peux pas rouler sur le circuit complet. Au Castellet, ils coupent la ligne de départ-arrivée pour aller directement sur la ligne droite opposée, et ensuite tu vas directement à la fin du circuit. Donc c'est plutôt ennuyeux en fait, parce que quand tu sais qu'il existe cette ligne droite, qui s'appelle la ligne droite du Mistral, elle est peut-être célèbre dans le monde entier, et tu peux pas la faire en entier parce qu'il la coupe. C'est nul, non? Alors on peut peut-être dire que Brands Hatch, c'est la même chose que le Castellet.
It's been going for so long, and there's all the history that goes with it, the Formula One and all of the Grand Prix. It's just a fantastic place.
Tu veux dire que les Formule 1, ils ont roulé ici?
Yeah.
C'est cool ça.
I mean, when it first started, the circuit went the other way around. In the years and years and years ago, the track went that way, and now it goes this way.
Alors maintenant, tu travailles avec Yamaha.
We are.
Alors d'abord, félicitations. Hein. Comment c'est arrivé? Parce que j'imagine que ça a dû être une méga bonne nouvelle.
We were very lucky that the CEO of Yamaha Motorsport Europe was on a flight to Japan. He saw Dream the Impossible on an in-flight movie. When he got to Japan, he got in contact with me and he wanted to meet with me. I was going to Le Mans to race. So when I was at Le Mans, he was there, and we had a meeting in the Yamaha headquarters, in the Yamaha hospitality, right next to the table where there was a certain Valentino Rossi. And I told him about the passion for motorcycling. I told him that the reason why I do it, the charity, and that I want to help other people to realize that they can ride. And by me doing this, hopefully it will help somebody else realize that maybe they can do something similar, or they could do something different. If they see me doing this, maybe they think they can drive a car, maybe they think they can sail a boat, they can fly a plane, they can go swimming, they could go down the shops and get their own food, maybe it'll help them. So he saw what we were doing and wanted to help, and so he arranged for Yamaha Motorsport UK to help us out with an R6 and an R1, and we're very fortunate that Yamaha have helped us out.
Et c'est là que j'ai vu Dreams Impossible pour la première fois aussi. C'était dans un avion, sur le petit écran du siège devant moi.
Yeah.
J'étais en train de faire défiler tous les films qui étaient disponibles. J'ai essayé de regarder ce qui était disponible en français, et j'ai juste vu l'affiche du film. Et là, je me suis dit, waouh, qu'est-ce que c'est que ça? Ok, je vais aller regarder, parce que je vois pas ce que c'est. Et c'est comme ça que j'ai découvert ce que tu faisais. C'est comme ça que je t'ai connu, avant que tu me connaisses. Mais par contre, il y a un truc, c'est que le film n'est pas disponible en France. Il est disponible que en Grande-Bretagne ou aux États-Unis. C'est un film de Speechless Productions. Il est disponible sur certaines plateformes de téléchargement, comme Amazon Prime par exemple. Et si tu vas sur Amazon Prime, j'ai essayé sur toutes les plateformes dont Speechless parle, sur leur site internet, Et si tu vas sur amazonprime.co.uk, quand tu essayes de payer le film, ils te disent que tu dois payer avec une carte bancaire qui a été émise par une banque en Grande-Bretagne. Et si tu vas sur amazon.com, ils te disent que tu dois payer avec une carte bancaire qui a été émise par une banque aux États-Unis. Et moi, avec ma carte bleue française, j'ai essayé sur amazon.co.uk, .com, .fr, .nl, .eu, ça n'a jamais marché. Parce que j'imagine que les crédits de Speechless sont valables que en Grande-Bretagne ou aux États-Unis. Donc mes abonnés pourront pas le voir.
Sorry.
Salut l'équipe! Merci beaucoup pour tout, c'était parfait. Vous faites coucou à Snapchat?
Hi Snapchat.
Hello Snapchat.
How you doing?
Un énorme merci.
No problem at all. Good work.
Et le truc, c'est que le Grand Prix de Brands Hatch, ça se passe aussi pendant le Grand Prix de Silverstone. Alors quand la course elle est finie, regarde bien, on se mate les qualifs. C'est pas un peu un barbecue international ça? La ronde d'accès qui sert à poser le barbecue sur 2 trains de pneus. Andy, motardement, bonjour.
Hi.
Comment ça va?
Good, thank you. Yeah, very good.
Bon, quand je suis parti de Marseille, il faisait 35 degrés. Alors merci beaucoup de m'avoir prêté ta veste. Hein.
Yeah, don't run off with it though, because it's my jacket. You can't take that back to France.
T'es le coéquipier de Talan?
Yeah.
Comment vous vous êtes rencontrés?
So there's a charity called the Bike Experience, which probably Talan's told you about. So Talan set that up. I went to the Bike Experience back in 2015, I think, or 2016, something like that. And he introduced me to road riding. I was riding off-road anyway. I had my accident on a motocross bike and I was riding sidecars off-road. And he put me back onto 2 wheels and said, this is how we can adapt a bike to be able to ride on a circuit. From there I went and bought myself a track bike and then started doing some track days, got my ACU license and then came along and the team welcomed me in and so I've been racing with the team for about 3 years now.
Encore une fois, une belle expérience.
It's great fun, it really is. To be able to get out there and be able to race with able-bodied riders is what it's all about, to show what we can do, you know, to show that actually there are very few barriers. You know, we can go and we're accepted, we're treated like any other racer out there. Yeah, it's fantastic.
Maintenant, si tu veux bien nous parler de ton accident, qu'est-ce qui s'est passé exactement?
I was training in motocross and I went over the handlebars, landed flat on my back, and I shattered my T7 vertebrae. So that was back in 2005. So since then I've done a few bits and pieces. I did some quad racing, like I did sidecars, things like that. And now I'm here, yeah, racing on the road.
Donc ça, ce sont tes motos, c'est ça? Des R1?
R1.
Yeah, Yamaha R1, so 1000cc, about 200 brake horsepower, something like that. It's a really nice bit of kit. It's the first season racing this since we've been sponsored by Yamaha this year. Previously I was on a Kawasaki, but Yamaha have kindly given us bikes to race this year. So yeah, this season's all about the R1.
Et toi aussi, tu as l'obligation de partir du fond de la grille.
That's right, yeah, same as Talan. So we have a launch crew that will catch us at the back of the grids, just for their safety. Obviously, they can't have people that are overtaking them while we're being launched. So yeah, there's obviously a bit of a disadvantage in that.
Et à la fin de la course, généralement, tu finis plutôt vers quelle position?
So in the power bikes, which is the class I race in for the 1000cc, there's some very quick riders. So if I can make it through about 5 or 6 riders from the back of the grid, then I say that's a good race. And then obviously it's all about pushing yourself and improving yourself. So looking at what your lap time was last time, trying to improve on that so that you're just bettering yourself the whole time. But yeah, as a positioning, if I can pass 6 or 7 riders, then that's a really good race. Yeah.
Mais t'as jamais fini dernier.
I've come last weekend, but that wasn't my fault. That was we went to race in a different club, and there were some British Superbike riders and some Isle of Man TT riders, and no slow riders at all. And yeah, I went on the back of the grids, and I stayed on the back of the grids. I just followed them round, but that's very rare, and the quality was very, very high. National quality.
Donc en fait, tu veux dire que tu es plutôt toujours en train de te battre contre toi-même plutôt que contre les autres pilotes qui sont valides.
Obviously, because starting from the back of the grid means that you're already at a disadvantage. So I'd like to be starting where I qualified with people that are my speed, but having to start at the back, that means that by the time you've passed some of the slower riders, those people that are my speed or faster are another 100 meters up the road. So it's very difficult to try and battle with those unless you get a very good start. So it means that you can just compete with yourself and just try and improve yourself and improve your lap time throughout the weekends, and you come away knowing that you've made progress, then that's a successful weekend.
C'est vraiment dommage que tu sois obligé de partir du fond de la grille, mais généralement quand tu te qualifies, c'est plutôt vers quelle position?
So normally I'll qualify, so if there's say 30 riders, then sometimes I can qualify like 15th or something like that, so in the middle. And if it's raining, then you know, often in the wet I can start in top 10, but I still have to start at the back of the grids. Yeah.
Talan me l'a dit aussi qu'il était meilleur sur le mouillé.
Yeah, so our style of riding suits the wet because we have to be very smooth, and we don't move our weight, don't transfer our weight a lot from side to side, so it doesn't upset the bike. So when we move from dry to wet, our style stays the same, whereas everybody else has to kind of adjust and work out a smoother style. We already have to be smooth.
Merci beaucoup. Je te souhaite le meilleur pour le futur. Merci vraiment beaucoup.
No, thanks for coming to see us. Cheers.
Alors le truc c'est que je me suis dit, bon moi j'en discutais avec Talan, avec l'équipe, mais j'étais curieux de savoir comment les autres dans le paddock voyaient Talan. Et j'ai rencontré Dan, qui est un ancien membre de Talan Racing, et son avis est plutôt pas mal. So, motardement bonjour, Dan.
Bonjour. I'm good, very good, thank you. How are you?
Yes, I'm fine. Alors toi, tu es un ancien membre de Talan Racing, c'est ça?
A long time ago, yes. Yeah, I had a lot to do with Talan Racing.
Et je crois que tu as un truc à nous raconter à propos de Talan.
About Talan, exactly, in himself.
Well, it was more to do with the way that I think people don't really get a good understanding of the level of his disability.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, he's suffered this massive injury, and he's now left paralysed from the chest down, and it takes into consideration so much movement that you and I all have with our core muscle and everything that he doesn't have. And then to adapt that onto riding a motorcycle, you can't really get your head around how you're supposed to ride a motorcycle when all you've really got is your arms. I tried to do this out in Spain. We went for a test in Jerez, and I was helping him set the bike up for his suspension. because Talan gets no feedback.
Yes, for sure.
And I went on the motorcycle, and it was so loose, it was so soft, and it was trying to kill me. So I had to set it all up and sort it all out, and Talan was getting quicker and quicker and quicker, which was all good. But then we had an instructor. Talan had booked an instructor. And this instructor came along, and we did say to the instructor, it would be really helpful if you can try to imitate how Talan has to ride his motorcycle. Bearing in mind, no legs, no core muscle, just your arms. You can't move, or you can't hang off the motorcycle, you can't do any of that, it's just steering. And he was very, yeah, whatever.
Arrogant.
I know what I'm doing, I'm an instructor. So off they went. They did 20-minute session, and as Talan pulled back up pit lane, he stopped. We caught him. The instructor pulled alongside Talan, looked at him, and then just rode off. And he came back 20 minutes later, half an hour later, and he explained that what had happened is he couldn't believe what he had just seen Talan do on a motorcycle. Riding around Jerez, performing really good lap times, knowing his circuit, knowing his apexes, his braking markers, and doing that without the use of his body. It moved the bloke to tears. He had to take himself off to the garage, and he was moved to tears. And he came back and he apologised. He said, "I am so sorry." He said, "I took it completely for granted." And yeah, it just surmises how much you and I all take for granted. And when you see disabled people out on motorcycles doing what they're doing, when you know intrinsically, like I do, from being involved in the team as much as I was, how much they have to put in to ride those bikes, it really does blow you away.
Là, tu peux vraiment comprendre combien c'est difficile.
You can't. You can't. Talan does this thing. He puts both hands on the table, one hand on top of the other. And he said if he moves his hands now, he will fall forward.
Yeah.
You take that for granted. You can't imagine. But I can only take my hat off to him, because he does such an amazing job. He's a great ambassador for the sport.
Yes.
He's a great ambassador for people of similar injuries, and he's just a good figure of hope for people who have had severe injuries, to know that life can actually probably be better sometimes. Just because you've had a massive life-changing injury doesn't mean your life will stop. It will just take a different path.
Ouais, on ne peut que te donner raison. Je crois que j'ai rien à ajouter. Merci beaucoup, Dan.
You're very welcome. Pleasure to meet you.
Thank you very, very much.
You're welcome. You too. Enjoy. Bye bye.
Alors, Talan,
Yeah.
explique-nous comment vos motos sont modifiées.
Okay, so first thing is paralysed, can't move my legs. So the foot pegs have basically old-fashioned bicycle toe clips with a little extender here, and there's some Velcro. And then on the bottom of my boot, I've got Velcro that has been stuck to the bottom of the boot. So the foot rests on the peg, and the Velcro just grips the toe and stops the foot from sliding off. Obviously, once again, with your feet not being able to move, the feet normally operate the gear shifter. So now I have this unit, which is an electric solenoid, and when you press the buttons on the handlebars, this piston punches down or up, and therefore changes the gears. So that's how we can change gears. My legs can flap about, so we have straps to hold my legs in place. So the black strap stops the knee going forward, and the green strap stops the knee coming out. If you only had a single strap, it might stop the leg going forward, but it easily pulls away from the bike. So that's why we have the two, because when you're under heavy braking, you don't want your hips and the knees moving forward, which can unsettle your hips. This is the thumb brake, because obviously my right foot can't work the rear brake. And in racing, you must have two operational brakes. So we have the front brake on the right-hand side, and then the rear brake is a thumb-operated rear brake. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, And those 4 bits of equipment mean that I can go and race the motorcycle. And that's it.
Quand tu montes une vitesse, est-ce que tu dois relâcher les gaz?
If you're on a standard road bike, an older version, yes you would. If you have a quick shifter, then you can keep the throttle wound open and just press the button. Racing, rolling off the throttle costs you time, so you really want to have a quick shifter. I have one, but it's temperamental.
Donc ça veut dire que parfois tu es quand même obligé de relâcher l'accélérateur.
Yeah. And because I use my arms to pull and push on the handlebars, having to roll on and off the throttle really gives you arm pump. Because I can't use my legs and my back and my stomach to lean forward, I'm always pulling forward on the handlebars, and to change direction to steer, I can't move my body, I can't put pressure on the pegs, so everything is through the hands. So it's really important for me that the quick shifter works, and it's important that this works, and they only move. You only have to move them a small amount, a few millimeters, and it'll change one way, but it won't change the other. So they have to be set up correctly, or they don't work.
Maintenant, parle-moi un peu de ça.
Okay.
C'est quoi?
So this helps me to stay in the seat. If you look at the tank of the R6, it's very shallow. Some tanks, they're very steep, but this one is shallow. And if I brake heavily, it's easy for me to slide up the tank. So using the foam and the stomp grip, it grips my leathers and it stops me sliding up and over, because in the past I went to brake really hard and I ended up sat on the top, which is not good.
Et ça c'est quoi?
That is on a bike for most racers. It adjusts the span for the brake. So in the course of the race, as the brake gets closer and closer to the handlebar, you can wind it and take it further away. So if you look on, a lot of the bikes, they have that.
Et quand tu descends en rapport, est-ce que tu es obligé de prendre l'embrayage?
I do, but you can have auto blippers. So my teammate Andy, he has an auto blipper on his R1. So once he's launched, he never uses the clutch.
J'ai été invité à faire un tour dans la course car, ça s'appelle. Alors c'est toi qui vas être mon pilote?
Yes, I am the course car driver, Giles.
Ok, alors je viens juste de prendre mon petit déj, donc me secoue pas trop.
Course inspection car we use to check that the circuit is good.
Est-ce que c'est un peu comme la safety car?
It is, but instead of with the bikes, we don't go out with the bikes. So what we do is we go out to ensure that the circuit is ready to go. So we're looking for everything on the circuit, make sure that it is as it should be. Paddock Hill.
Ce circuit est absolument merveilleux.
Very smooth.
Yeah. C'est difficile de se tenir quand même.
Surtees. Pilgrim's Drop.
Le tracé me semblait super beau depuis le bord de la piste, mais alors là que je suis dessus...
We're now coming up to one of the most famous parts of the circuit. This is Westfield, and this is Dingle Dell, and you can see it drops away through the countryside. There are houses 50 metres behind those trees. People live right behind these trees. It's a Sheen curve named after Barry Sheen. Blind corner, very scary. And now Stirling. One of the best racetracks in the world.
Ouais, il a l'air.
One of the most difficult to learn as well.
J'imagine bien.
And here we are at Clearways.
Là, je peux bien m'imaginer comment ça doit être fun de rouler sur cette piste.
Sorry, recovery 1, somebody talked over you there. Control to recovery 1, are you off circuit and radio check, Steve?
Here we are back at the start line.
Thank you. Recovery 2, radio check, and are you clear of circuit, Paul?
Is that good for you?
C'était top. Merci beaucoup.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Bon, alors on l'a vu tout à l'heure quand j'étais dans la voiture de course. Le circuit, il est magnifique. Je pense que ça doit être super sympa de rouler dessus parce que bah, tu vois, ça monte, ça descend. Et je voulais en profiter pour te dire un truc quand même sur le film Dreams Impossible. En fait, il n'est pas disponible en France. Il est disponible sur Amazon Prime. Mais par contre, pour le louer ou l'acheter, il faut une carte bancaire qui a été émise par une banque en Angleterre ou aux États-Unis. Donc bah, malheureusement, tu pourras pas le voir.
Alors ce dont je te parlais, c'est ça. Je suis un grand fan de ce truc. Je peux en manger quand je suis devant Netflix. Bon, peut-être pas le paquet entier, mais pas loin quoi. Ça représente énormément pour moi de partager un chocobon avec toi.
Okay, that'd be cool. Share chocolate. Kinder. Chocodoobie.
T'en veux un?
I'd love a chocolate. That would be very nice. Thank you very much.
Mais je t'en prie.
A chocobon.
Alors maintenant, parle-nous de The Bike Experience. Elle existe toujours?
The bike experience began in 2011. We have been running every year. We do about 13 events every year, and we get between 3 and 9 people come to the bike experience each event. Now, some people are paralyzed, some people have leg amputees, some people have arm injury. We have some people with head injuries, many different types of disability, okay? And some people had been on the motorcycle before, and some people have never ridden. Ladies came, and they are paralyzed, so paraplegics like me, and they'd never ridden before their accident, so we got them riding. But then there's also been people who have come with cerebral palsy and with polio, so they never had the opportunity to ride a motorcycle, and we've helped them to enjoy the freedom and the excitement of two wheels. In the time that we've existed, we have helped over 350 people with disabilities get on a motorcycle and enjoy it. Now, there are some people who the nature of their injuries or disability is very severe, and they would never ride, but we give them an experience. So if we can, we try and get them into leathers, we get them onto the motorcycle, we start the motorcycle and we rev the engine. So the person has the feeling
of the engine,
of the life from the motorcycle, and the vibration, the noise, the smells, the experience, because it's not possible for them to ride because their body is deformed, their limbs haven't grown correctly, or their understanding, their cognitive skills aren't such that it would be safe for them to try to ride a motorcycle. But they still get a lot of happiness and enjoyment from the experience. But then that's a small percentage. The main percentage of people that come, they get riding and they go around our area that we use, and we just use a big car park, and they start off slowly, just doing a straight line, launching and catching, and then we get them to do a steering input, and then we get them to do a small circle, and then we take them out onto the larger coned area, and the aim is for them to be going around the coned areas by themselves, without people leading them or following them, just for them to have that freedom again, just as they had done prior to their accident, because that's the majority of them.
Donc, ce que tu as fait tout seul, en fait.
So what I did on my own, we make it possible, yeah, because not everybody, I don't know.
Il y avait personne pour t'aider à ce moment-là.
No one was there to help me. So it was a very difficult and risky decision, because I had to buy the bike and then I had to adapt it, and I didn't know what I was doing, and I didn't know how to start and stop, and so, but now we make it safe and people can progress very quickly. We've had 5 people who are paralysed come to the bike experience. They now have race licenses and they compete with different clubs all around the UK.
Encore une fois, une très très belle histoire. C'est vraiment impressionnant, tous ces trucs que tu as fait. Je le savais, tu vois, mais comme tu l'expliques, c'est vraiment différent. Eddie ?
Yep, that's right, Eddie.
Motardement, bonjour.
Hello.
Merci beaucoup d'être venu discuter avec moi. Alors toi, tu fais partie de Bike Experience avec Talan, c'est ça ?
Yeah.
Quand tu as commencé, tu t'attendais à quoi de ce programme ?
I don't think I had any expectations. My journey with the bike experience was Talan got in touch with me and he was told that I could just come along. I didn't need to really do anything apart from bring myself to the day, and I can still recall that moment from that time with that phone call with Talan, that excitement, that nervousness of getting back on a bike.
Ok, parle-nous de ton accident maintenant.
My accident was obviously motorbike related. It was a CBR just over 10 years ago, 21st of August 2008. I was going towards the lakeside, came off my motorbike and smashed my spine pretty bad, damaged 5 of the vertebrae and ended up paralysed. Ended up at Stoke Mandeville, and that's where I've done my rehab. And then once that had happened, I left the hospital and then went to live independently at home.
Maintenant que tu fais partie de The Bike Experience,
Yeah.
qu'est-ce qui a changé dans ta vie ?
If we look at the bike experience and what it's brought to me as a person in my life, it's given me a positive outlook on being able to achieve things that I didn't think were quite possible. And that means getting back on a bike, being independent, and really just saying that when you think things are not possible, if you put your mind to things, they are possible, and you can do anything you choose to.
Alors là, on est avec Talan Racing.
Yep.
Est-ce que ça veut dire qu'un jour tu aimerais être pilote pour eux ? Tu voudrais faire partie de cette équipe ?
If the opportunity presented itself, yeah, I'd like to become part of Talan Racing. I'd like to be put onto the team and race, maybe at a 600 super sport level. It'd be a real achievement. It'd be a real eye-opener. It'd be something I couldn't never have believed had happened either. So yes.
Merci beaucoup
No worries.
d'avoir partagé ça avec nous. Et je te souhaite le meilleur pour le futur.
No worries. Thank you.
Merci beaucoup.
You too.
En France, on dit non content de, c'est-à-dire en plus de tout ça, t'es moniteur, c'est ça ?
Yes. Before my accident, I was a PE teacher, so I taught sport.
Ok.
A professeur des sports, is that right? Right. And
on l'a fait en français. Next time we do it in French.
oh no. And I really enjoy the art of teaching and the act of teaching, and so yesterday in the morning, instead of testing, I was instructing. And I obviously instructed quite well because the person that I was instructing beat me today.
No.
So I must have taught him too well. Yeah. So I was chasing him for the whole of this first race. The whole of the first race today, I was chasing him. And yesterday, where he was weak in one of the areas under the heavy braking, going into a 180-degree turn, I was trying to instruct him to go brake harder and deeper and carry more speed into that corner, and then to be able to get on the power. And I have obviously taught him too well, and now I can't get past him. So, but a lot of other people I teach, they're in the novice, they're rookies, so they're beginners. But I also teach people who are even faster than I am. And there have been a few people that I have helped to instruct who are actually quicker than me. But I can still see what they need to do, and I can talk about other areas that they can work on, even though I'm not as fast as them, because all the top level racers have coaches, have people helping them, but you know, there aren't that many people faster than Marquez, Rossi, Vinales, but you know, they still have people helping them. I'm not saying I'm going to ever instruct that lot, but I can help.
Non, mais évidemment, même le champion du monde, il doit être entraîné, il doit être suivi. Bien sûr que le coach, il peut pas le battre, mais il est là pour lui expliquer comment il peut s'améliorer. C'est vraiment le travail le plus important des profs, de bien savoir comment expliquer, comment apprendre quelque chose, même si tu sais pas toi-même ces choses que tu enseignes.
I suppose for me, I've learnt a lot from competing in skiing. So when I was first paralyzed, I went and learnt to ski in a mono-siège, in a mono-ski. I went on to the Paralympics, and I went on and I became European champion. So we did a lot of work with the mental skills training, and it's this side of that I can bring to the racing. Even if I'm not the fastest motorcycle racer, I know a lot about the mind games and how to improve the confidence, because for me, the most important thing of motorcycling, to be able to go fast and to be safe, is confidence. You must have confidence in the bike, you must have confidence in the brakes, you must have confidence in the tires, and you must have confidence in your own ability. And it's any of those start failing, then people start going slower or people start crashing.
C'est un peu ce qui m'est arrivé à ma dernière journée piste. Encore des problèmes, comme ce matin. Bon, pas autant, mais des problèmes parce que j'avais pas les bons gants. J'ai raté ma session. Je suis arrivé trop tard. Ils m'ont dit c'est pas ton tour. Ton groupe est en train de rouler maintenant, mais ils sont en train de sortir. Et maintenant, c'est pas ta session. Donc c'était plutôt compliqué, quoi. Et donc, quand j'ai enfin pu aller sur la piste, après 5 tours, j'avais plus de frein. Alors quand tu es au bout de la ligne droite, que tu es à fond sur les gaz, complètement allongé sur la moto, au moment où tu prends les freins et qu'il se passe rien, là, tu te sens vraiment pas bien. C'est compliqué de garder son sang-froid et de se dire « Non, ok, c'est bon, je vais pomper, ça va revenir, c'est bon, c'est en train de revenir » et de prendre ton virage. Il a fallu que je change mon... Ouais, tu sais ce qu'il a fallu que je change.
I have done quite a lot of crashing, even though I'm having started racing. So I've had a really bad crash in 2013. So you can see the straps, which hold me on. These go around my knees. Now we used to use more of the strap around the whole of the knee. And I crashed at Assen in Holland, and I high-sided, and we were using too much Velcro, and the bike somersaulted, and I remained strapped on the motorcycle. And it did 2 somersaults before it hit the ground, and I was strapped to the bike. So I shattered both my legs, I broke my pelvis in half, I had multiple injuries, so that was quite bad.
Plutôt mauvais, ouais.
And I've crashed, and the helmet, the chin of the helmet hit my chest so hard it broke my sternum. And then I had an accident in October. Somebody came from the inside and it knocked me, and my hand was on the handlebar, and the bike went down so fast that it took my finger. So the finger was trapped here on the tarmac at 100 miles an hour, and then the tarmac acted like abrasive sandpaper and just took the finger off. Accidents can still happen, so it is always a good idea to wear the best protection. So now I have a chest protector, because I always wear a back protector, even though I am paralyzed. I could still damage more.
Oui, bien sûr.
So I wear a back protector, I wear a chest protector, I wear protectors for the ribs on the side, for the kidneys, because they can be damaged. Hips, knees, I wear good leathers. I now have really, really good gloves, and they're tailored to fit my little finger, my little baby Groot. But it's so important, because like this, everything can change.
Ouais, ça, t'es un de ceux qui le savent le mieux.
Yeah, I know that it is important to wear protective equipment, because when I had my accident, I was wearing leathers, but I wasn't wearing a back protector. Now, I can't say that if I had a back protector on, I wouldn't be paralyzed, but maybe the severity of the injuries would have been reduced. But if I hadn't been wearing my leathers, I'd be dead. So at least I know that wearing my kit saved my life.
Alors, pour résumer, à propos de ce gros accident qui t'a mis en fauteuil roulant, on peut dire que sans tes équipements, tu serais mort. Grâce à tes équipements, tu as pu rester en vie, mais
if I had more equipment, like the back protector, maybe
tu pourrais toujours marcher.
Well, maybe the brake. So my brake is what they call complete. So the spinal cord was completely severed. Maybe if I had a back protector, the spine would have been bruised, and then you end up being incomplete.
And not being
and so, like Andy is incomplete, so Andy can actually stand up. He can't walk unless he's holding on to something, and then he can shuffle. But that in itself makes travel easier. If you go to a hotel, when I travel, have to make sure that the door is wide enough into the bedroom, into the toilet. If it's not, then I can't go.
Yeah.
And it's always access to the toilet is always the one that stops my traveling. Because quite a lot of the times you can access the bedroom, but the toilet door is always small. If you could stand up, it wouldn't make any difference. But for me, it's
Ouais, elle est pas assez large.
no. Sometimes I've had to use a screwdriver and take the door off to make it wide enough to fit in. So we try to find ways, but if I could stand, life would be very different.
Et pourquoi pas un airbag?
I was paralyzed 16 years ago, so
Non, mais je veux dire, pour maintenant.
now, yes, there are things like the Helite, which is a small vest with airbag, and obviously you have the Dainese DR and a few others, but it's expensive. I don't have the money. I suppose for me, I'm pretty well protected in the leathers and the back protector that I've got.
J'ai pensé à ça il y a quelques minutes, quand tu m'as dit que ton casque avait cassé ton
Sternum.
sternum,
Yeah.
parce que quand j'ai essayé cet airbag, je l'ai lancé pour voir comment il se gonflait,
Yeah.
et il y a des grosses protections ici et ici
Yeah.
pour protéger la nuque. Donc quand il est gonflé, il est vraiment gros.
Yeah.
Donc je me dis que peut-être il aurait pu t'éviter ta blessure au sternum. Enfin bon.
Also, if I hadn't have tried to go very fast on cold tyres, I wouldn't have crashed. That was the big reason. I did a very good qualifying, and I qualified in 6th place. and I was only half a second away from pole position.
Une demi-seconde?
Half a second from pole. This was a few years ago.
5 dixièmes.
Oh, yeah. And I decided that I needed to win the race. But I was starting in 32nd place. And so from the start, you have to go really fast in order to make up all the places. Otherwise, the people at the front will have gone. So in 3 corners, I went from 32nd, and I was overtaking someone to go into 7th. That's in 3 corners. And there is a series of photographs, and the rider is like this, and I am like this, and then I just go, and I slide, and then I just tumble and tumble and tumble, and I had to wait a little bit more for the tires to get hotter, for them to grip, but I was on a mission. And the mission ended very badly. I was too awesome. That's generally when I crash, when I'm too awesome.
Est-ce que c'est ton travail ou t'en as un autre en dehors de la piste?
So the racing of the motorbikes is a hobby. My organising the charity is done for free. So in order to try and pay my rent, pay the bills, I do motivational speaking. So I'll go to companies or to schools, and I will give a talk for about an hour, and then we will do some questions and answers afterwards. So I talk about the journey of me and the experiences. So I was a PE teacher, I was run over, all my life was about sport, and then suddenly I was never going to do sport. What happens when you are faced with big change? Sometimes the change is so big, you just see the change. You can't see further. You can't see down there in a week, in a month, in a year's time. You just see the change that has happened, and many people just give up. What do you do? It's a big question, and for me, I was lucky. I found out about skiing, and so that became my goal. And I set myself the challenge of learning to ski, of getting into the national team and going to the Paralympics. And it took me 7 years, and I managed it. Even though people told me I wasn't going to be able to race because high level, and people that are high level, normally they just cruise around, they take things slowly, don't do anything too racy, but I managed it. And so I give the talk about the journey from being a teacher to being run over, to rebuilding, to going to the Paralympics. You know, when I went to the Paralympics, I didn't win. I didn't win any medal, but I gave my best performance. And I'm proud of what I did, and I got a 15th and I got a 25th, and it was the best that I could do. So I'm very pleased with what I did. Even though I don't have a medal, I know in here that I gave my best performance, and this is the most important thing, that we give our best. And so this is the talk that I tell, especially to the children, because children don't win all the time. Only one child will win. All the rest, so long as they know they gave their best performance, they can be happy, or they should know to be happy and proud of what they have achieved. And that's the big message I tell to all the children. And also the adults. The adults need to know that if they give their best performance, that's the most important thing.
Donc ça veut dire que tous les membres de ton équipe, vous êtes tous bénévoles.
Yes, everybody on the team is volunteers. So,
en fait, vous êtes juste là pour le fun.
We are here for fun, and both Andy and I are very grateful that we have the team that comes to support us and to help us. And I hope that the people that help the team, they get a lot from what they see us doing out on the track, and they enjoy the racing and the environment. And it sometimes when you come in and you've had a bad race and you feel you feel bad for yourself and you feel bad for your team that you didn't do them the justice. So it's nice when you have a really good race, you battle hard, you come in and everybody is pleased. Because sometimes some of the trips, they're very long. You know, we have in the car with the trailer and you go a long way away, and sometimes it's bad weather and it's cold and it's miserable. But yeah, we've got a good team and we're very happy.
Je sais ce que c'est ça, d'être loin de chez toi, dans des mauvaises conditions. Je peux t'en parler un peu si tu veux.
Yeah.
Ok, on va parler d'un truc un petit peu plus sérieux maintenant. Avant la course, quand tu te concentres sur ce que tu vas faire, tu demandes à ton frère de monter derrière toi?
Yeah. So very sadly, my brother had some troubles and he ended up killing himself. And for a very long time, I found it very difficult. Found it very difficult to understand why he did it, but I have to accept it was his decision. But every time I go out and race, I ask him to watch over me. When I crashed at Assen and I was strapped to the bike and the bike was somersaulting, whilst I was in the air, before I hit the ground, I had this feeling that my brother had come behind me and put his arms around me to protect me. And as I was smashed into the ground over and over again, I just felt him holding on to me to protect me. And I think he saved my life. So now I always ask him to sit on the back and come and race with me. The only time I forgot to ask him was in October last year.
Et ça t'a coûté un doigt.
And it cost me my finger.
Je voudrais juste te montrer quelque chose. Ça, c'est ton casque.
It is, yes.
Donc on peut voir comme il est beau, on peut voir qu'il est un petit peu abîmé ici aussi.
So that was my last crash. I nearly kept my head off the tarmac and then it just touched and scraped the paint.
Ouais, il peut pas toucher le genou, alors il touche la tête. Ouais, je t'en parle parce que c'est un shark.
Yep.
Et shark,
Yep.
les casques,
Yep.
ils sont fabriqués.
In France. In France.
Ils sont fabriqués en France, mais ils sont fabriqués à Marseille.
Okay, there you go.
C'est là d'où je viens. Donc on peut dire que ce casque arrive directement de chez moi. Voilà, je voulais juste que tu le saches.
Yeah. No, they're great helmets. I've had a number of these helmets, and I've crashed in a number of these helmets, and my head is still fine.
Continue avec eux.
So they're good helmets. So this is the Shark. It's the Racer Pro. So this is the carbon fiber one, because also it's very light. So remember, I have no tummy muscles. So anything that's on my up here can, if it's a heavy helmet, it can easily throw my body. So I try to make the helmet as light as possible to help me with my riding, so it's not throwing me about and causing me to wobble.
Est-ce que tu sais ce qui a marqué sur mon t-shirt? Je parie que non, je vais le montrer à la caméra, ok? Grand Corps Malade, c'est un chanteur français qui est handicapé. C'est un chanteur français que j'adore, et sur ce t-shirt, c'est marqué « Il n'y a pas de barrière infranchissable, il y a bien des fleurs qui poussent dans le sable ». Et ça, je voulais que tu le vois. Parce que, de mon point de vue, quand j'ai vu le film Dream the Impossible, je me suis dit « Waouh, quelle détermination, quel courage !» Et pour moi, ton équipe, Yamaha Talan Racing, c'est une fleur qui a poussé dans le sable.
But it's not just me. There were the Dream the Impossible. There are 3 other people. All of the riders, both past and present, so Andy as well, have been injured from a motorcycle. And so for me to see their strength to get back on the machine that caused their injury, their amputation or their paralysis, is strength in them, and I get strength from seeing them do it as well. It's not a single person, it's everybody.
Oui, mais c'est toi qui as créé tout ça. C'est toi qui as supporté ce projet. Je pense que si tu avais dû lâcher l'affaire ces dernières années, Talan Racing ne serait plus là.
I hope that it continues even when I get really old.
Oui, je parlais de l'équipe. De mon point de vue, l'équipe est une fleur qui a poussé dans le sable.
And everybody on the team brings something
Essentiel.
essential. Yes, it is recording. This is Andy, my teammate. He's special.
Ok, je vais te laisser les derniers mots. Merci beaucoup, beaucoup. Je sais vraiment pas comment te dire merci.
Well, it's my pleasure.
Et c'est pas parce que ça enregistre. Vraiment, vraiment, merci beaucoup. Ça a été un plaisir d'être avec toi ce
Take
week-end.
care. Motorists, remember, check your blind spot. There may be a motorcyclist there.